Hi everyone. I'm going to look into a topic that we're all struggling with. And because we're all struggling. It's about struggle. It's about depression. It's about being lost. There's so many of us in this world right now that are completely lost because we look at the world and say, what the hell? And why is the world the way it is? This world, I don't want to be in this world where people don't love each other, where people don't help each other, where people are just plain mean. And when you're a person that wants to be in a world that's full of love, and all this hate, all this suffering is happening in the world, you ask why. And you could ask yourself, why am I depressed? Why can't I get up in the morning? Why can't I look in the mirror and be happy with who I am? When I look in the mirror, I see something I hate. I see something that is ugly. Because the mirror reflects our hopes and fears back at ourselves. And it's so important to be able to look in the mirror and say, I love the person I'm seeing. That is ridiculously important. And right now, there's so many people that can't look in the mirror and truly see who they are and be happy with what they see. There's so many people that have a hard time even getting up to walk outside, to even say hello to someone. There's so many people that can't even lift their head and look at somebody in the eye. I have friends that got broken over the last few years. They're actually broken. They're shattered. And they're trying to keep all these pieces together. And they're really, really struggling. And you have to be reminded how amazing and how broad you are as a spiritual being. And we're not just here in this physical reality. There's much more going on here than we could ever imagine. So how does that, like if you look at the Akashic Records, everything in that library is all about us. And we're all interconnected, and we all have access to each other's pain and suffering and love and happiness. But that doesn't help us when we watch our daughter die of cancer, watch our mother die of old age, knowing that you're going to not see these people, and watch your child suffer. It doesn't help us through that, or does it? It doesn't, like we all look and we're alone, and you're a person that's an elderly person that was a war hero, a hero of any type, or just simply an amazing parent. You did everything for your child. And now you're alone for the last 10, 15, 20 years of your life. Nobody comes and visits you. You stare out the window or you stare at the wall. And nobody comes. And you wish for death, that death doesn't come. What do you do as that individual? How do you stay going? How do you stay motivated? How do you stay alive? There's so many people that are so broken and suffering in this world right now that need to understand how amazing and vast they are. They need to be reminded to find something, no matter what it is. Could be the smallest gram of hope in their life, the smallest gram of something they love to do, and just force yourself to do it. Call a friend. Pick the phone up and call that person that you used to be friends with. They're struggling too. It's amazing when you reach out to old friends and you find out that they're struggling, and sometimes way more than you are. To walk up and look at your child in the eyes and say that you love them. A friend, your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. A stranger on the street that is willing to give you a hug. To say, I know your struggle. I know what you're going through. You have to stay positive. You have to stay moving forward, because we came here to go through these things, to overcome them, to stay as best and positive as possible throughout this time. So I'm going to go into a journey based around this and ask the questions to the universe about what can we do, or what can you tell us to help us get through this terrible time? Because we're all going through a hard time, and not all of us. Some people are happy through this, but don't be angry with the people that are happy. Be rejoiceful that they're able to be happy in this difficult world, because they're actually making us happy. Because if they're happy, there's a part of ourselves that is connected to that energy, and we're also happy. So that's why it's so important to stay positive in life, because it's not easy, first of all, but we all affect everyone. So if the whole world gets into a really deep slump, we all feel it to some extent, because we're all connected. But I can't help but look at my own life and the people that I know and throughout my lifetime. And this, if you were to go back and every person that you were friends with, and you went back and talked to every single one of those people, you would get a much better perspective on life. Because some are going to be successful, some are going to be no longer with us. Some of them are going to be sad, some are going to be depressed, and some are going to be in between. There's going to be some level of something, but when you actually go through that lifetime and you actually talk to them, if that's even possible, I know that's hard, because for myself, I had so many friends over the years that it would be really difficult to do that. But to do that and ask them, what did you think of me? Realistically. And then you start to see how you portray yourself to other people, and how they themselves thought of you about, and also what is going on in their life. Like, if you go through this and ask everyone around you, you might not like all your answers, but you will understand a lot about yourself. And it also helps you to really understand your life purpose, because everything you've done in your life is your purpose of why you came here. And that struggle, when you die, you look back at this lifetime and it'd be like, all that, remember that blurb when we stayed on Earth for that time frame for 100 years? I know, it went by so fast, I barely remember it. But the problem is, when we look when we're living it, it's a bit of a nightmare at times, but it's also wonderful at times. But we have to look at it that way. We have to start looking at our lives as just another life of learning and love and happiness and sadness and frustration. Because if we look at ourselves as this is our only lifetime and this is the most important lifetime, we start to actually hold on to the things that we should be letting go of. And we focus on the negative things to try to understand why. But we already know why. We just might not know it in the physical, but our souls know why. And we have to sometimes let that stuff go. Otherwise it will drag us down and never allow us to move forward. Because we find ourselves in a rut because we're focusing on the past. We're worried about the future. And you've heard this all the time. But you have to understand that in the cosmic time, this is a blurb. Nothing more. So it's okay to let stuff go and move on. We don't need to know the answers to everything. We never will know the answers to everything. Because when you're trying to figure out why somebody is mean and nasty, you're never going to understand that entirely. Because if you don't have that inside yourself, in this physical reality, you're not going to be able to really truly know why they do what they do. The only way you can do that is when you pass on and you start to see the whole scope of everything that happened in your lifetime and the reasons why you came. And then you're going to understand why. But the focus on the why is destructive. We need to just be in acceptance of what it is. And I know why is important sometimes, but it's also important to know when to let go of it. It's a balance. It's always really, really, really good to be able to understand as much as possible. But it's also very, very important to know when to not. And I don't know what I'm going to see when I go into the spirit realm. That's the great thing about having access to that. And I'm lucky because I have access to that. There's so many people out there. And you need to remember, especially if you're a spiritual person, there's so many people out there that have no access to any of this because they don't believe it exists. So the struggles they have within themselves is on a whole different level than what you're going through right now. Because they're, in some ways, it could be good because they're blind to the understanding of what is possible and what is out there. But it's also very scary for them for death, because when you're a spiritual person, you're not afraid of death, usually. Because you know it's just a blip in time of a existence that is ridiculously old. So I remind everybody that you are an extraordinary being that's living a moment in time. So the suffering that you're going through right now is the benefit of everyone, to help everyone understand how to be able to overcome it. So that's why you're here. You're here to struggle, you're here to love, you're here to be sad, and you're here to be happy, in order to help everyone be able to become a much more wonderful being. And we're never going to truly understand everything until we're no longer on this physical realm. So I'm just going to go into the universe and ask that question. Based around everything I said, it's an open-ended question about what it is. What can you tell us to help us go through these difficult times, and why? The dreaded why. Why is it that the world has to suffer so much? Because that's one of the questions I ask as well, and I have to let that go, is that why does it have to be so difficult? I see, the first thing I see is like I'm getting hit in the gut and the spear comes and I grab it. But when I grab it, I'm grabbing the tip of the spear and it cuts into my hands deeply. But it doesn't hit me, but it still really hurts. This is the problem with words. There's a physical punch to the gut that you feel. And then there's the spear that people throw at you that cut you deep. And sometimes that is more stronger and more devastating because you heal from the wound and you learn from that. But the things that cut you the deepest are the words that people say. And the wound takes a long time to heal. The punch to the stomach is over. But the deep cut to the hand, because every time you move your hand, it hurts. Every time and it takes a long time to heal because it's in an area, unless of course you tape your hand open, which is your right hand. If you're right-handed, that's not something you're going to be able to do. So you have to suffer through the pain. See, there's a lot of people out there that say that physical pain is worse than words. And this is a big thing right now. Words are cut deeper than the actual physical pain. And they last longer and are more devastating. It obviously depends on the severity of each one. I'm talking generally our life right now, because there is a lot of the physical stuff isn't severe. Not like it was, for instance, if you're a Roman warrior and you're going through the towns and you're constantly fighting all the time. That's a different type of physical. This is our reality right now. The words in the world cut deeper than anything generally in your lifetime. What you say stays saying it for eternity. Everything that you speak never stops speaking. And I know I said this before, but this is extremely important to remind people that everything you say repeats for eternity. Everything that you do repeats for eternity, because you can go in the spirit realm and go anywhere in time. Past, present, future. I know that's confusing, but we can just remove the future and just think of the past. So everything that you've already done, you can go back and take a look at it, and you can experience it. That loop never stops. So when you tell something really nasty to someone, it never stops hurting that person. Well, think about this for a second. When you say a bad thing to somebody, or put bad words, or send bad energy to somebody, it never stops sending them bad energy. If you knew that, would you do it? As a good example would be your son or your daughter or a friend says, "I hate you." That doesn't stop actually repeating. Now, how many times do you love that person? You could say that to your partner. "I love you." "I hate you." How many times do you say "I hate you" compared to how many times you say "I love you"? Because if you're saying the negatives more than the positive, you're sending your partner more negative energy than loving energy, without even realizing it. Do you understand that? This is coming from a spirit that's speaking through me right now. Do you understand that if you don't say positive things to your partner, and you say more negative things, you're sending them more negative energy than positive energy, and they will eventually collapse from it. Or they'll begin to hate you for it. Think about that. Obviously, the physical aspects, you shouldn't be with somebody that's beating you, period. But what do you do when an individual gets beaten, goes back to the person gets beaten, goes back to the person gets beaten? We should do whatever we can to get them out of that situation. But they also have to be willing to be strong enough to walk away from that situation. But this is the same thing with words, though. I think this helps me in my own perspective, in my own what I say to people, is you got to be so careful what you say. It's not just saying, it's feeling. Because it doesn't matter if you say it in your mind or say it out loud. You know that? Do you know your thoughts are just as powerful as your words? Do you know that? If you think bad things to someone, that actually is sending bad things to someone. If you speak them out loud, it is a different energy, but it's just equally as strong or equally as weak as the words are. I'm not saying you have to never think of a bad thing or never think or say a bad thing, but just be aware of what you're thinking, what you're saying, and what the energy you're sending out. Because the more energy of love you send or wrap around yourself, the more loving your energy is going to be, and the words and everything goes along with it. So this is great and really good information, but what is a message to the people that can't function anymore? What do you say to people that are suffering? There's so many people suffering quietly. This being goes down on his hands and knees and say, it will hug anyone who wishes and needs a hug. And it will send loving energy to you to help you stand up. It will give you the power to be able to look in the mirror and say, you know what? Today, I don't hate myself anymore. I can tolerate my image that's staring back at me. Then the next day, you know what? It's not so bad. The next day, yeah, I'm actually pretty cool. And then you look, and eventually you will look at yourself and say, you know what? I'm perfect just the way I am, and I love every part of who I am and what I am. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes little steps. And there's beings out there just like this one that are with you that want to be able to help you. So if you're that individual that's all alone, that has no one they can reach out to, or no one's responding to anything that you're saying, you do have help in the spirit realm. I know it's not the same as a physical touch. But when all hope is lost and that's all you have, it's better than nothing. And the suffering that you're going through is being recorded and is being felt by everyone in the world. And that knowledge and understanding is going to help things way more than you could ever imagine. But please don't stay in suffering longer than you need to. Because that just hurts yourself, but also hurts everyone else. So please reach out to anyone that was willing to help. This is the big one. You have to be able to get up and reach out for help. Does that mean you give your dog a hug, or your cat, or your hamster, or your guinea pig? It doesn't matter. Just get up and do that one thing that you're procrastinating on. And we all procrastinate, some more than others. Procrastination is giving up, isn't it? Or it just means that you're ridiculously tired. How many of us are tired right now? How many feel like just giving up? So what do you do for those people? I see an image of, like, you know, the places we used to go to them, to the not a miracle round, but the amusement parks. And they had that thing that spun around, and it was called the Gravitron, I believe, and it pulled you up against the wall. This is what the image I'm seeing right now. And you see a person in the center with a smile on their face, and the smile goes bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're saying, I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to stop. You're going to be stuck to this wall, and you're going to be in this darkness forever. Because then now everything goes pitch black, and you still can't move, and you're trapped. And you can't move. What do? That individual over there is causing me pain and suffering, and I can't reach them. I can't do anything about it. I'm powerless against it. What do? It shows me a brightness in your heart that goes out and hits that person or being or entity in the face, and it blinds them for a second. And then you look at each and every one that's with you and does the same thing, and you realize that everyone that's stuck here is a version of yourself. And all of a sudden this whole place lights right up, and this being turns into dust, and you fall to the ground. And you're finally free just for a short time. You haven't touched the ground in so long. You forgot what it was like. And you pull all those parts back into yourself that gives you the next ability to step forward. See, that's the thing. When all hope is lost, you go within yourself to find a light, that spark of light that's in every single one of us. And you need to explode that into the most vibrant light that you could visualize, feel. It doesn't matter. That starts to give you hope to be able to get up in the morning, to get dressed, to clean your house, to go for the walk, It's you. It's a spark within every single one of us that never goes out. We might try to put it out. We might try to snuff it out. We do whatever we can to keep us in the darkness, or beings around us that prevent us from going, beings can't do that. You allow the beings to do that. You actually put the darkness around yourself. Because if you shone your light, the beings have no power. The only power that they have is what you give them. So every single one of us has, even at the darkest times in our lives, there's a spark inside ourselves that we have to ignite. Because we are the masters of ourselves. We are masters of our own reality. We might have a destiny to fulfill, but how we walk forward in that destiny is up to us. We have our friends, we have everyone around us that we love, that we so much sort of love. Even the ones that we can't stand are all there for a reason, to navigate through life, to create imbalance and rebalance. But ultimately, that we're the ones that decide our fate of how we react to everything that happens around us. We're the ones that have to ignite that light within ourselves. There's nothing worse when you give all your light to someone else, and they will take and 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 take, and they never change. Until you're weak and you're suffering and you're lost, and that person's still taken. And they'll take it until you're dead if you allow them to. But that light never really left. You're not really tired. You have to ignite that light within yourself. And when you do that, it will grow brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter, so you can finally step up and do and make the things and changes in your life to bring you out of that darkness. No one can do it for you. All we can do is help you see it, to help ignite it. But you're the one that has to get up in the morning. You're the one that has to make your bed. You're the one that has to get dressed. You're the one that has to go for a walk, take the dog for a walk, go to work, go study, learn, change. You're the one that has, and the only one that can do that. The spirit realm and the people around you can help you. But you're the master of yourself. Thank you very much, everyone. And that's the message that was brought forward. If you wish to do a journey with me, you can go to my website at almondrostawakening.com. And if you wish to come to the Yukon, you can go to the Yukon Skies, or you can visit my Northern Light page at josephbradleyauroras.com. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.